So, hello and welcome. A very warm welcome to our session on visible thinking routines. This is the first time the both of us are presenting virtually. So do expect some nervousness and some glitches. Excuse us for that. I am Fariha Abbas. Along with me is my colleague Fatima. We are from the Beacon House Private School. I head the primary section of the school. I am an educator with an experience of 12 years. I believe in eclectic approaches, innovations, trying out new things, which are useful for primary learners and which enable learning for teaching and learners both.
Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. I'm an educationist with over 15 years of experience as a teacher and academic leader. As a headmistress, I'm required to work in complex, challenging, and changing environments, leading and managing the school, and at the same time, being aware of the needs of tomorrow. You're never too old to learn is my motto, and especially I like learning from others' experiences. So let's get started.
A basic definition of routine is a habit or a structure that does not vary. And as the pandemic occurred, we all observed a major shift in our routines as educators, in our personal lives, whatever you may think of. What about our students? What has transformed and changed for them? What have we as educators enabled them to do? In our presentation today, we will discuss the processes that enable developing routines which support learning. To begin with, there's a little poll that I want you all to complete. Can you please follow the link given in the chat box?
So what would you like us to do here?
Please enter your name.
Oh, my name, okay.
Yes. Enter F Bhutta 131 and respond to the activity. There's a question we've asked. May I ask if you're able to follow the link?
Yeah, for me, it's fine.
All right, thank you.
I'm trying.
All right.
Okay.
Some lovely examples coming up. Since the participants in our room are limited, I think these are all the responses that we would be getting maybe.
It's two questions, correct?
It is
Name
one
and then-
question, what makes the routine visible?
Okay, okay, got you.
Can you all see the screen with the responses?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So to summarize, we move on. Yeah.
So what are thinking routines in a nutshell? I think these three main points might summarize it to some extent. Thinking routines help educators to build, connect, and refine their students' thinking to more overt ways of providing simple metacognitive tools and skills to build better thinking. Thinking routine act as structures and scaffolds that enable the kids to not only analyze, think things closely, but to zoom out and see the bigger picture. Hence, thinking mechanisms behind the skills become more important than the actual content. Thinking routines as patterns of behavior can be understood as thinking with tools or mental models. My hope is that these methods of thinking will become tools that educators and even students can use beyond their classroom and beyond school. I would now like you all to take a step back in your life's timeline and think about your own learning. How did you learn? Did your teachers encourage or train you to develop thinking skills? I would like to relate a rather funny incident connected to my own learning. Right from the time when we entered the mainstream education as young learners, we were taught tables as rhymes. For example, 2 ones are 2, 2 twos are 4, and so on. It was much later in my higher grades that I understood ones are and twos are meant ones are and twos are. Neither my teachers or me ever questioned the style of thinking or learning. Hold your thoughts about how you learn as we move on.
So as Fatima spoke about our learning story as children, now as educators, as responsible people, what is the story of learning we truly want to tell our students and make a reality for them? So how do you make them aware of the learning that is happening? Can you please write a brief response in the chat box about this question? Some interesting responses, some more?
It took me back to the same question, Fariha.
It's here in the chat. I would like you to respond here in our chat, not on the poll. Are you still on the poll? Yeah, in the Zoom chat, please.
All right.
Self-motivation.
Absolutely. Self-motivation and determination are the biggest keys we want our students to have. I think people are taking some time to write that in. Shall I get some more responses?
To be honest, it's a bit hard to type in the chat. I'm watching it on my iPad,
Yeah.
so sometimes
Okay.
it's much easier just to talk through it.
Yeah, all right. So to summarize the research about learning and thinking skills, a few areas which we want to bring to your attention are take a minute to read. Learning involves uncovering complexities and delving deeply is a strong belief that I hold as an educator. One important aspect we as educators, trainers, or teachers need to know and to have is to raise the correct or ask the right. I am trying to look for a word. Okay, I'll give it to you. Is to raise the right question. They not only drive learning, but are the outcomes of learning. Moving on, we will now watch a short video on the visible thinking routines.
What can we as educators do to help students become better thinkers? One might assume that a good place to start is to teach thinking skills, but is teaching skills enough? We often miss opportunities to use the skills we have simply by not noticing times when they might be useful. Good thinkers not only know how to think creatively, critically, and deeply, they actually do it. They have a repertoire of thinking moves to draw on. They are inclined to use them, and they're sensitive to the times when thinking would be helpful. In other words, they are in the habit of observing, analyzing, and questioning. So can we teach this? Researcher educators at Project Zero have been exploring this question for many years and think the answer is yes. The thinking routines they've developed as part of their research invite learners of any age to be close observers, to organize their ideas, to reason carefully, and to reflect on how they're making sense of things.
And to put this together, I believe of all the skills we want our students to gain from their education journey, the ability to think for themselves and to show evidence is the most important.
We will now try out one of the routines called Chalk Talk. Despite the name, there is no chalk involved, only paper, pencils, or markers in a face-to-face setting, and a Padlet in a digital setup like today. A link will be provided in the chat. When you click on the link, you'll see a prompt on the Padlet screen. I hope it's visible to all.
You've gone out of presentation mode now, correct?
Yeah, I'm coming back again. I'm
just
just
coming back with the Padlet screen.
Okay.
You just need to click on the link that is there in the chat.
Yeah.
It'll lead you to the Padlet screen. There's a prompt over there. You have to write your name in the title. We'll begin with 30 seconds of think time, followed by 1 minute of writing time. So what can you write? You can write about what you're thinking or wondering about. You can star interesting ideas and write a question or add a comment to other people's comment, and so on.
We don't have as advanced skills as you have, Fariha and Fatima, so bear with us, please.
Oh, certainly, it's fine. We have all the time.
Good morning, Jansi. Variation is a long topic. The students don't know how much of variation is included in assessment. I have told them whatever we cover till the.
Thank you.
I believe there's a difference between the two. Once you've written, you can see the others are also writing down their comments. You can pose your own comments or ideas. I'm getting a lot of good ideas over here. I can't see the name, but somebody has written, yes, I agree. However, it should be noted that there's a thin line from parental, yes, parental control and parental supervision, very thin line. Do you believe that parental supervision may refer to the rules and regulations and restrictions that parents have for their children and their supervision and management of their activities? So Chitra has written it's more collaborative, the parental supervision. Jamie, you've written parent supervision implies active engagement, whereas control seems to be something that is just set. Yes, I agree yes. What do you think are the consequences of excessive parental control? Think about the terms in the terms of the behavior consequences for students. How do they react to that? Okay, I think keeping the number of participants, I just want to summarize it by saying the purpose of monitoring and supervision can be seen as keeping young people safe, out of trouble, and preparing them for independent lives as adults. And whereas excessive parental control can be associated with children's internalizing or externalizing the problems. For example, drug use or antisocial behavior. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for your participation. I'll just move on to the slide. So as you can see, Chalk Talk is very easy to set up, even in a digital setting like this. And these are the steps that we followed. Apart from the merits or usefulness which are listed over here, one important thing to note about Chalk Talk is it's a go-to method to find out what all the students are thinking about at any point of time. And especially Chalk Talk also provides a forum for introverted or hesitant students who do not want to share their ideas vocally or verbally. Moving on.
So here you saw an example of a visible thinking routine done digitally. Moving on, I'm going to take you through some of the core routines which are part of the larger umbrella of thinking routines. These are routines for introducing and exploring ideas. This is an example of Chalk Talk done in a face-to-face class. You saw one done here digitally. Some more routines for synthesizing and organizing ideas. This is one of my favorites. Brings about everyone's thinking very visibly in front of you, even the introverts. So as we move on, we all as educators have tried a lot, done a lot. Sometimes we know the names and labels of activities we've conducted, sometimes we do not. As a takeaway from today's session, I would want you to think of a lesson or an activity that you would have observed or carried out where you felt a real sense of engagement in the students in developing understanding. Think about it. Think of the processes that were involved. Think of how you understood the thinking and how was it made visible to you. As we move on, and as I was currently updating myself to be a digital educator, this is something very interesting that I came across. Routines are very good and can be used digitally as well, but following the routines that we've already established and shared in the classes with the students. So they do not feel a sudden change in the learning patterns or habit, because we know to develop learning preferences, it takes us time, and the children also to adapt and change. For example, a common routine we all do as ELT educators is think, pair, share. Try doing it online. As I said, familiar routines are the ones which set the space for experience with an agency and security. Moving on to the next activity. This is a photograph. I want you all to take a minute and look at it silently. In the chat, response with the stem, I can see, and then write your responses. You can even say your responses verbally if you want to. You can unmute yourself and say it verbally. If it takes longer to type, we are okay for verbal responses also.
I can see women doing all the jobs under the sun, like doing every
really?
single
Yes.
job possible.
And some more. Let's now think. Use the stem, I think, and then add in your responses. Looking at this photograph, what do you think? A good interpretation. You believe it's farming families in Africa, all right. The women must be very tired. They really are. They have a lot to do. Women absolutely are amazing. Cheers to us. Now, let's wonder. Can you use the stem, I wonder, and add in your responses? What do you wonder about? Okay, you wonder where the men are. Invisible from the scene. Yeah, that's a very good response. Female peasants being responsible of the well-being of their families. Multitasking, we are best at that, Jamie. Okay, whether she would do that. Take a snapshot of the photograph and share it with her. See what she says about that.
I will.
She'll have all the complaints to make. So I will now share the story behind this photograph with you. Take a minute to read that. Sorry, I was supposed to be on. Thank you, Suchitra. I think all of you have had a go at that. So did you find your responses to be similar, different, something very different out of the box? Is anyone aware of this routine? Anyone tried this out?
Yeah, more or less similar.
Okay. All right, okay. Okay, let's move on. This routine is known as See, Think, Wonder. It allows the students to make careful observations, very thoughtful interpretation. It helps stimulate curiosity and sets the stage for inquiry. You can use this routine at the beginning of a lesson, during an inquiry-based task, or during a project work as well.
Fantastic. Fariha,
And
you still
for
have
different
3
subjects.
minutes.
Yeah, we're just moving on.
Thank you.
Yeah. So these are our ideas taken from the Visible Thinking Harvard Project Zero. I would also like to share an excellent resource with you where all the digital ideas are available
Awesome.
for you to use. But I don't know how am I supposed to email that to participants?
Well, if you display your email, we will contact you and say,
All
please
right,
send
that's
us the
great.
link.
Sure.
Or
That's
you
great.
can put it in the chat as well.
All
I'll
right,
put
let's
it in
do
the
that.
chat, yeah.
Yeah. If you can see the document.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. So it tells you the name of the routine, the key thinking move, when and how you should use it, and what is the online tool that you would want to use for this.
Fantastic.
Is that from the website with Harvard?
Yes, it is. It's from Ron Richard. It's not a material created by us. So the name and everything remains the same.
Perfect.
We're sharing it to support the educators with working along with us.
I mean, ladies, is it downloadable from the Harvard website, the Visible
It is.
Thinking
It is.
website,
It
yeah?
really is.
All
It's
right.
free. Yeah, it's free to share and use. It gives you a notice also down below, if you can see that. For non-commercial use, for your own self-use, you can use that. It's downloadable.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. I just want to see the title so that when I go to the website, I can download it.
Okay. Yeah,
Just
here
to
it
the
is.
top of the page.
Yeah, you can click a screenshot of that.
Perfect.
Okay.
Oh, can you go?
You want me to go back to that?
Can you just go back? It was really quick. Yeah, I couldn't. get the shot.
Sorry. Yeah.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you very much, Fatima and Fariha.
Yeah, that
you so
brings
much.
us to the end of our presentation. And our email addresses are here in case you want to contact us.
Thank you so much.
It was a lovely experience being here on our first virtual presentation. Thank you for your participation and your encouragement. Goodbye. Have a great conference.
Thank you.